Now, the president and the Pentagon and everybody else, they knew about the balloon. He decided not to tell anybody about the Chinese balloon because he didn't want it to mess up their global warming conversation that they were going to have last weekend with China. Unfortunately, just a regular citizen looks up and like, what's that? Takes a picture of it, and the Chinese spy balloon is now out in the open. The picture goes viral everywhere, and the Pentagon has to admit, that's a spy balloon. The guy who did it lives in Montana. His name is Chase Doak, and he is with us now. Chase, how are you?
I'm doing all right.
So when you looked up in the sky and you saw the balloon, what did you just thought it was just a regular weather balloon, or what did you think?
I honestly had no idea what to think. I knew that we had a ground stop in place, so there were airspace restrictions at our airport, and outside of my office window, I looked straight out onto the airport. You probably don't know much about the Billings Airport, but we have cliffs here in town,
You
and our
are on
airport
top of a butte, and I've been there, my friend. The Becks are rampant in Billings. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just happened to be looking out because I wanted to see what was going on. I thought there might be a military exercise or somebody important might be flying in, and it turned out that it was just this thing in the sky, and I had no idea what it was.
So they had closed the airport or restricted the airspace. Was it because of the balloon?
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty easy to put two and two together.
Yeah. Really? Huh. And so were you surprised when your discovery really, I mean, this is being compared now to Sputnik. Did you know that?
Yeah.
That this is a Sputnik moment.
Yeah, I have heard that. It's still pretty surreal for me, but I didn't know when I was taking the photo that it was going to lead to something like this.
Sure.
So.
Sure. You're like, I bet this will bring down the fires of hell around my head. Have you had any pushback on it? Have you gotten any heat?
Not really. I mean,
Good.
For the most part, people who have corresponded with me have been pretty supportive and pretty excited about it, to be honest.
So the story that I have read said that you thought at first it might be a UFO or a star or something. Is that true?
Yeah. I thought, at best I might get a good shot of a UFO that would end up in a Stephen Greer documentary in a few years, but.
Well, you got a lot more than that. And you took the picture from your office or your driveway?
I took the initial picture from my office, and then I kind of rushed out to my car because I had my camera in the trunk of my car, but the lens I had was just too short to get anything good. So I actually called the photo editor at the local paper, the Billings Gazette. Larry Mayer is his name, and I worked with him for about 10 years at that paper. And I knew he'd have a big lens, so I had him look up. He's also a pilot, so I thought he might know what it was, but he had no idea either. And then I just rushed home as fast as I could to get my big lens on my camera.
Was it hard to see?
No, you could see it with the naked eye, and it was still broad daylight, so seeing a bright spot in the sky, and it was circular. It didn't look like a point of light. It looked like a circle. It was very easy to spot.
How did they think they would get away with keeping this quiet?
I have no idea. It was just so brazen.
So amazing. So amazing. Well, thank you. I just wanted to talk to, just an average Joe that, like, you changed history. I don't know if you really that just sunk in, but I've made a point of trying to call people now that have impacted history in real time, and they may not know about it, and ask them this question. Would you do me a favor and write out in your own words what you saw and everything else in your own handwriting and sign it for me so we can put it in our museum in our vault?
Yeah, I would absolutely be happy to do that.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Chase, keep up the good work.
Yeah, thank you, Glenn.
You bet. Bye-bye. That's kind of cool.
It's really cool. I think you're just looking up in the sky and you can change. Because I guess eventually maybe we would have noticed it, but I don't know. I don't check for the sky for balloons that often, and they seemingly wanted us not to see this. That was their approach.
Their plan was that it would just drift over the country and nobody would say anything about it. That is just
it's incredible.
it shows you what a dream world that our president is living in.
Yeah.
And by the way, he gave the order on Wednesday to shoot it down, but they didn't shoot it down till Saturday. There's a question, why? Why would they delay?
They kept saying, it was going over people, and they didn't want it to fall on people. But it's kind of a weird explanation.
That's really
even the
weird.
people in Montana were like, "There's 7 people per square mile in our state. You can shoot it down wherever you want."
Yeah. And usually when the president says, "I'll shoot something down," you shoot it down. But maybe that's just me. Also, that's about a $10,000 balloon, and we used a $1 million rocket.
Yeah, that was a weird thing too. Why a missile? Like, I mean, again, I know I'm familiar with balloons.
Yeah, are you?
And typically, when you put really any hole in them, they're going to come to the ground.
Yeah.
You think really blowing it up into a zillion pieces. It was a cool fireworks show.
I mean, you could have taken a biplane and just maybe shot it with a shotgun. You know what I mean? It was an average guy who just was standing outside going, "What the hell is that?"
I'm kind of surprised there wasn't another average guy with a plane that just was like, screw it, I'm going up there. I mean, it was pretty high for a biplane, I would assume. But I guess one of the big...
Your head might have popped.
Yeah. One of the big issues was the international waters. They wanted to get it off the waters, or off the land, but they only have, 12 miles? So they had to knock it down almost immediately. And I will say, at least they did it during the day. I would have been really annoyed if we had this whole balloon thing and we didn't even get to see it explode. And at least we got that out of this. That's the only thing I can say on the At least we got that. They should have filled it with either blue or pink dust and made it a gender reveal of some sort. That would have been cool.
Or a rainbow.
Ooh.